I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you focus on your goals and accomplishing them, you can achieve them. But the hardest part, and this is what we're talking about today, is actually being disciplined. You make a rule for yourself, you break it all the time, you know? That's something that happens. That's something that happens to all of us. That's what we're talking about today. So hello everyone. Hope you're doing fantastic today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to talk a little bit about, actually staying focused here. First things first, I want to actually read some of your comments in the previous video, which was about being self-taught. I'm curious to know. I've been reading a lot of these amazing comments here about what you managed to be self-taught with, and it's really amazing actually. So Joshua says that's amazing. Whatever I have learned, I'm 50-50 on most things, but not all. So let's say for learning English, I really got more self-taught. I went further in my language skills, but for music, it was a bit of both. Well, that is amazing, Joshua. Phantasmos the data says, I make music and I am completely self-taught. I do it all by myself. That is amazing as well. Keep focusing, keep going towards it, and keep learning. Jolie says, I am self-taught myself. I teach myself everything too. Candle making, editing of my videos, playing the erhu, which is a Chinese violin, and speaking Mandarin Chinese. Yeah, even if you are still a novice, congratulations, that is amazing. And then also Jolie says, you say, Cash Me Outside, how about that? Yeah, Cash Me Outside was not able to make it last night, unfortunately. There were technical issues. Hopefully she'll be there tonight. So, catch me on Twitch, how about that? And then Emma says, I've been following you content for 2 years. You're amazing and I love your videos. Well, thank you so much, Emma. So, all those things right there that you're self-taught with, that is amazing. That's really great to hear. But learning something and putting a plan into action is nothing if you don't actually stick to it. And that's where it can be kind of tricky, because if you don't stick to a plan, if you have a plan in mind, if you have rules and guidelines for accomplishing something, but you don't stick to that, then it's not really a plan now, is it? Now, this is something that I am, having some issues with presently, because I am venturing into a brand new territory with certain things. So if I make a rule for myself to do A, B, and C, maybe when I first started out, a few months back, I was not doing either of them. I had to learn. So okay, that's a learn. So then I implement A. But then I'm still kind of slipping on B and C. And then I just keep focusing. I keep working hard at it. All right, I'm going to put these plans into action. I'm going to stick to them. I stick to them for a little bit, and then I miss one of them. And I keep saying, I'm just going to keep focusing, keep doing this, until it eventually sticks. It's going to eventually stick, but yet remember, you have to keep at it. You have to keep focusing on it. And when you do start to realize that you are slipping, that you are losing that focus, you have to remind yourself why you're doing it. So if I tell myself, I want to, around this thing in a day, I need to focus on this and that in a day, and I need to do it a certain way. For example, okay, I need to do it a certain way, and let's say I'm doing it that certain way, everything's working well, and the next time I do it, I'm like, maybe I'll try a shortcut. Maybe I'll try to disobey my own rule because I think it'll be better. I disobey my own rule about something, and guess what? It backfires. It actually ends up doing more damage, or making things worse, or making it in a way that I have to redo something over again, being more time consuming. You see? Whereas if I just stuck with my original plan, no matter what, remember now, no matter what, no excuses whatsoever. If I stuck to my original plan, things would have been so much better and smoother. But I didn't. I disobeyed because I thought it was going to be better. It was my conscious mind all right, you got to do this. You got to do this. But deep down, I set a rule for myself that I broke, and I'm paying the consequences for it. So that is where you have to learn. That's where you realize that something's not right there, and you have to put yourself back in place. Like, all right, I learned from my mistake. I learned from my mistake. You can learn. You can keep making the same mistake a few times, and then eventually learn it. But if you're doing it, so many different times, if you're not learning the lesson, time after time after time, I pretty much say, make a mistake once, you can learn from that. Make a mistake a second time, learn from that, implement that, change some things. Mistake a third time, you're starting to slip into a bigger territory here where it's like you need to reevaluate some things, put some more guidelines on something. Fourth time, fifth time, past that, you're not learning what you need to, or you're not implementing your skills and the lessons. So again, there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. There's nothing wrong with having to change all these different things, but that's completely rational. It's completely reasonable. But you gotta remember, when you break your own rule, when you set them, you're the one who's breaking the rule. There should be no exception to that. You set a rule out, you implement that rule into your life, and you don't break that rule no matter what. It's like the temptation, Let's say you're going on a diet, and you're eating, you say, I'm not going to eat any sweets. That is your plan. You're not going to eat any sweets whatsoever. None. Not like, stuff like cake and desserts and candies and that sort of stuff. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's your plan. That's your goal. You stick with it for a little bit, and then you're like, I've been eating really healthy. There's this piece of cake before me. I'm going to go ahead and eat it because I think it's going to be enjoyable. I'm going to like it. It's not going to do anything. That's where you're mistaken. You're not sticking to what you originally do. And again, this may happen a few times until you eventually learn, but you go ahead, eat that cake. There's something bad with it, and it upsets your stomach really bad. It makes you feel miserable. It makes you feel awful, and then you regret what you did. You regret what you did entirely, and that's a really bad feeling. You feel bad. You feel ashamed. You regret what you did. That's not the way you should be feeling. And then you imagine, gosh, if only I didn't do that. If only I didn't do that. If only I did this instead of that. When you are thinking like that, then that means you have made a mistake that you need to learn from. So let's say you learn from that. You're like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then let's say something else comes up and you don't really do it again, but you do it on a smaller scale, okay? And again, this will happen. This will happen. You can be as diligent as you want. You can be as dedicated as you want. But at the end of the day, you're still a human being. You're still going to make mistakes. No one's perfect. I do it. You do it. We will all do it. Just depends on how many times you're doing it. You make that mistake again, and it ends up harming you again, doing something else. Then you eventually start to learn. You're like, okay. And then each and every time you end up slipping or failing, it's less and less each time. Does that make sense? So just remember that. Just stick with your plan and don't go away from that plan. You can modify that plan to better suit your outcome, but you can't disobey your own rules that you have set for yourself. Never do that. Focus, and be dedicated. And don't make any excuses. No excuses whatsoever. Like if you're trying to limit your spending, for example, but you see something that's on sale for a really, really, really cheap price, and you're just like, you set a rule, no buying anything for this time frame. And you see this amazing deal, and it's like, I just have to buy it. You're breaking your own rule. That's making an excuse. Your excuse is because it was on sale, because it was a cheap price. Yes, that makes sense that maybe you would buy it and you could never get it again at that price, but at the same time, you're breaking your rule, which is setting you up for dissatisfaction later. So you don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. So just remember, stick to your rules, be focused, be dedicated, and never stray from what you set out to do. And with that, that's going to conclude this topic. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a great day. Yeah, I'm going to be getting on the stream here shortly, the gaming stream, because yesterday I wasn't able to because of the technical issues. My gosh. Everything should be resolved now. Everything should be good. Oh, that was a nightmare. But anyway, you'll take care. Catch me on Twitch. How about that? That's it. All right. Bye-bye.